They are, however, typically not anthropogenic but theogenic, and they hardly ever involve warming. They nearly always involve flooding a lot, but not so much warming. Cli-fi is a much more recent phenomenon, and the term cli-fi was coined by the Taiwanese, well, he's actually American but lives in Taiwan, so I shall say the Taiwanese blogger Dan Bloom in 2007. So the term is quite recent, and I think the phenomenon he's referring to is quite recent as well. That is, he coins the term to refer to the kinds of fictions that are actually dealing with recent scientific concerns about anthropogenic global warming. And that's very specific and quite different from a much longer tradition about floods, and indeed a shorter but nonetheless quite lengthy tradition of worrying about fictions about ice, new ice ages. Right? So that's what Daniel Bloom means by cli-fi, and that's what I'm going to talk about. I want to, Bloom, I should explain, is an absolutely indefatigable, I said that wrong. He can't stop doing it. He's a blogger who can't stop doing it. And he's been a propagandist on behalf of cli-fi, and in a very big way. I've heard him described as a serial pest by a number of people working in the field. He edits a cli-fi report. Last month, he had this to say. Whenever the media gets worried about hurricanes and floods and heat waves and methane bombs, editors trot out the usual headline: what can we do about climate change? He goes on, I'll skip that. The answer is to forget listening to the so-called experts, we've heard to some today. The so-called experts drone on and on about this chart and this statistic, boring, and instead tell the readers that one very important thing we can do about climate change is encourage more and more novelists to write cli-fi novels and cli-fi movie scripts over the next 100 years. That's what we can really do about climate change. All the rest is pissing in the wind. Right, now... I will concede instantly that I think that's a massive overstatement. In fact, if you don't have scientists and journalists talking about the IPCC reports, you're not actually going to have novelists and film script writers talking about them either. You have to start with the one. But nonetheless, before you get to the other, sorry. But nonetheless, I think there's a powerful truth contained in that, and it's the truth that for lots of us, most of us I suspect, statistical reports, graphs, don't actually move us very much. Stories move us very much more. And I as David's already referred to this, but I'm not going to say, I speak from experience when I say that. My experience is, in fact, about the nuclear war fiction. You may have gathered from my accent